Well, guess what?
Back again.
It's back
Back again.
again.
And we're back. And we're back.
They're back again.
Back again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Back Again Sequel Podcast, the podcast that takes a sequel from the past and finds out if it was worth going back again. As always, I'm Matt, and today we have a very special guest. You know him from our Bad Boys 2 episode back in Season 2. He is an actor and a sports movie aficionado. Please welcome Louis Diaz.
Wow, thank you. Good to be back. Sports movie aficionado. I like that.
Well, I hope you're ready to dive in because today we are kicking off what I'm calling our summer sports sequel season by doing the follow-up to the 1989 Major League, and we are doing Major League 2.
Oh no, not the damn song again.
Look out in the cheap seats. The funniest team in baseball is back for their best season ever.
All the way!
Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, Jake Taylor, Roger Dorn, Willie Mays Hayes, Pedro Serrano, and back in the booth, team announcer Harry Doyle.
The Indians are showing signs of life for the first time in weeks. They appear to be beating the crap out of each other.
Major League 2. It's a swing and a hit.
Major League 2 comes out in 1994. It's once again directed by David S. Ward, but this time it's written by R.J. Stewart. It's starring Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Corbin Burnson, Dennis Haysbert, James Gannon, Bob Uecker, and Margaret Whitten. The Cleveland Indians are now a World Series contender, but last year's hunger is now replaced with complacency, and bad decisions by the team's new owner, Roger Dorn, threaten to tear the team apart. That's IMDb's description, but that's not very accurate.
That's like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Here's my rework of this. It's the next season after the events of the first Major League, and apparently the Indians have lost the ALCS, and they're back again, and they've all either experienced some new form of success since the first season, or they have taken on a new personality, which is somehow going to affect how well they play this year. Before we get into it, I will say that there is a quote in this movie that I think summarizes my experience watching this. And it comes from Rachel Phelps, and it's after she's taken ownership of the team, and she's frustrated, and she says,
This can't be happening. Not again.
I mean, I'm right there with you because the first one had so much charm. It had so much heart. You really were rooting for these players, and then they come in and they just tear that all down.
I think what's hard about it, and I don't know whose fault it is, but it's honestly because I think it just took too long to make the sequel. So like the first one comes out in 1989. This movie doesn't come out till 1994. So not only the fact does everybody kind of look different, like older, but now we're also kind of dealing with the issues where, you know, Wesley Snipes is more popular. So they just recast him in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know the reason, but I would assume they just couldn't afford him or it was just a scheduling thing.
It does feel like they still wrote this part for Wesley Snipes and were doing kind of like commentary about the fact that he was becoming like an action star. So it almost felt like if they were able to get him back, it's like, well, it is justified now that he's back with a limo because it's Wesley Snipes who's like a movie star now. But then they weren't able to get him back. So like, well, we'll just keep that part of the script and then we'll just add in Omar Epps.
Yeah, it very much did feel like that, but it also feels like if Wesley Snipes was involved, that things would have been more refined to the like trio because they had the chemistry from the first one. But in this one, there was just no real. They had that one moment in the beginning after he meets Parkman for the first time, and Charlie Sheen has like the echo of what he said in the first one of,
You want me to beat him?
but I feel like the part of Willie Mays Hayes would have been a little juicier and the script would have been refined down to those three more like it was in the first one instead of it being expanded out into all these extra characters.
Yeah. And I do think even with that, there are other maybe little storylines or even just bits that they do in the movie that are like good on paper, okay in execution. But in general, I think this is going to be one of those sequels where even though Major League is not like a perfect movie, I do think it's in the territory of you can't do a sequel to that movie because the story itself, regardless of the execution of it, it does end in a way where it's like, it doesn't matter what happens next. Like, that was the story. Everybody got what they wanted, and they did it in a way where they kind of learned something. but, you know, doing a follow-up to that specific kind of story of just like the up-and-coming team, it's just, I don't know if it really like works, you know?
Yeah, to me, it feels like what they tried to do with the second one to make it feel fresh or feel like you were getting past a point was them showing the playoffs. But the way that they achieved that in the second one was just so sloppy.
And it's weird because, you know, David S. Ward, who writes and directs the first one, he's originally from like South Euclid, Ohio. And he has said that, like, the only way I was ever going to see the Indians win a championship is if I wrote a movie about it, right? And that first one, regardless of, like, the character and plot execution, there at least is, like, a focus on what the point of the story is, which is, like, losers finally winning. And in the second one, we have this new writer, R.J. Stewart, who I looked on his IMDb, and he wrote a lot of Xena the Princess Warrior.
Xena? You have a fish wrapped around your finger.
But I don't know. There's just, like I said, there's things about the movie and the script in particular that do work or are charming, but the setup of what's been going on since we last were with this team is so choppy and weird. Like you said, like it's really like kind of sloppily like put together.
Yeah, it feels weird because it felt like the movie dragged, but it felt like there was so much happening. Like I felt like
they do a recap at the beginning of the movie.
The first like 10 to 15 minutes are a recap,
and they're showing footage from the first movie.
Yeah, so that was weird, and it was also just. It didn't feel as intimate as the first one. Like, I feel like the first one, even though they had about the same amount of characters that were like, you know, the stars in the movie, it still felt like you spent enough time with them to care about them. And in this one, they kept jumping to different characters, and then they added a few characters that were just like why? And it just took away from everybody else. So it felt like you were spending a lot of time with people, but you weren't spending like quality time with any of the characters.
Yeah, it feels really focused on trying to be like almost too silly, or like you said, like bring in these additional things to kind of make up for the fact that we are doing this again. And there's a moment that I wrote in my notes, and all I wrote was, "Oh no, it's Randy Quaid."
Bring out the pooper scooper!
Just out of nowhere.
And I think what's hard about doing sequels to movies that honestly shouldn't be as successful as they are, because once again, Major League is like not a perfect movie, but like you said, it's got this like romantic like quality to it, and it's also got this charm. Like the way that they are able to edit the performances and the natural charm that everyone's giving, it moves at a pace that makes you go like, well, that's okay, that was fun, that's easy. They're not like, you know, you're enjoying the ride, they're not shoving it down your throat. In the second one, even though David S. Ward directs it again, there's a tone that they don't really seem to hit as successful as the first one, and they try to do that, force it through having every every baseball player that's returned have like a different quality about them. And then we're gonna have Randy Quaid, who's gonna like, you know, the fans in the first one are just like, when we cut to them, they're very quick, nice moments, but that's like, those moments are like 10 seconds long. Randy Quaid is in so much of this movie.
And it's just insufferable, because even his character's arc went from diehard super fan waiting outside of the stadium, like there for spring training, like they're gonna do it this year, and then they turned on them so quick. It felt like an instant, but it also like there were so many time jumps in this that I didn't know where we were in the season to where like how much we were progressing in the season. And then when they got better, he just stayed again. Like he just became the owner. He filled in for Mrs. Phelps.
For the cliche of having fans of the sports teams in the movie, he's a shitty fan.
Yeah.
And I think that character works if that's like the third person talking out of that group of guys, not like the main guy talking, who like, you know, comes around finally at the end. Mm-hmm. But that's just bad representation for Cleveland fans in general.
100%.
We don't want Randy Quaid. As someone from Cleveland, you can have him back.
Is this the way America goes?
Because this is an era where, you know, sequels like we were saying, have to be like more kind of entertaining to justify their existence. Despite that, there still are elements to the new additions to these returning characters that are kind of interesting, right? The only thing that's weird about it, kind of circling back to what we first said, is that it really only has been one off season. So the fact that, like, you know, Charlie Sheen's character is all of a sudden like pulling up in a limo and has this lucrative contract, and somehow Willie Mays Hayes has starred in like action movies and stuff. That kind of stuff fits better if it's been a couple years, which it has been in the real world. But this has been a couple of months, and we already like, everyone's got a new shtick already, you know?
And they're all just, especially Ricky and Willie, are just so rich. And it's like, and Willie made one movie and it hadn't even come out yet. And then Charlie Sheen, in everything we saw him in outside of baseball, like all the commercials, he was horrible. And then when he's playing horribly, like, why are these brands keep calling him to do these things? He would not be in demand at all. That was so ridiculous to me.
Upside down.
Upside down.
Thank you. Cut.
But yeah, it's also just like Ricky and Willie had potentially good storylines, especially in that beginning part when him and Jake first see each other and he's like tells him about his knee hurting, and it's like more sincere, and it's like, oh, he's actually hurt. But then they don't really go anywhere with that. They, like, at the end of the movie they mention it again, but then he just like takes off his chains and he's like, I'm good now. And then just like steals 3 bases right away. And it's just like, wait, what? So was his knee not really hurt? Was he really hurt? It felt weird that they kind of made both of those characters very shallow when they could have like gone deeper.
For sure. And I mean, the last thing that I'll say about like just the gap of everything, you could do something along the lines of this team every year gets really, really close. This magical team that they put together, and they never get to the World Series. And this is like, oh, maybe this is the last season where this kind of team can maybe pull it off, but people aren't really kind of hopeful. We traded away Willie Mays Hayes, like we did this, that, and then it would justify why they all look older. And it's also kind of foreshadowing Cleveland sports in general, because, you know, little do they know that once like 95 comes around, which is the year right after this movie comes out, the Indians get their magical 90s lineup. And then for, you know, from 95 to 99, or even into the 2000s and stuff, but like those 2 World Series runs that they didn't get. So it could have been a really kind of a sequel that foreshadowed what was to come even within that sports organization, but also led the way of how you could do a sports sequel by thinking about the other challenges that come with playing the game besides the first season of the Misfits, you know, and all that kind of stuff.
100%. And I think it could have been a good route to go where they had heavy expectations on them and they just weren't living up to them. It felt like the first movie was like a Bad News Bears like homage, where it was all the Misfits like figure it out somehow. But then in the second one, you don't really get that, and they're playing bad for a really long time, and then they have the switch where they start playing good, and then all of a sudden it's the end of the season and they're in first place, and it's like, wait,
yeah.
How did we get here? I thought they were like really bad.
It was wild, where all of a sudden the announcer, he goes like, we've won the division.
Yeah! Somebody caught it, and the Indians won the division.
I remember looking, I was like, oh, they won the division already? Jeez.
And it didn't seem like a big pressure game or anything. It just felt like this is just the last game of the season and then we go to the playoffs.
Well, it's really hard when you're telling a story about people winning, and you need, like, they have to start obviously somewhere bad and then they have to get better, but then there's like a little motivational kick that happens along the way. But this sequel does what so many sequels do, where they purposely regress the characters and the situations they're in just so it gives them an excuse to fight back, opposed to a natural reason why they would fight back. We've already talked about like how this happens like with the characters, but even within the plot itself, it's like, okay, we do this recap at the movie where Phelps is no longer the owner of the team and Dorn has taken over his ownership, but then like the first thing that happens is like, oh, he's broken, he's got no money, and then he's got to trade away their best player, and it's like, okay, those things on their own are fine, but then by the time we get to like almost end of Act 2, he has sold the team back to Phelps, and I turned to you and I said, why does she want the team back?
Her revenge tour.
And it's just so we can do this again, just so the team can get motivated. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, and she's older too, just like everyone else. So the fact that she's still doing this like Cruella de Vil shtick is kind of like, don't you got anything better? Go to Miami.
Yeah.
Didn't you want to go to Miami?
Yeah. She also just fleece Dorn in the negotiations by making him go up to like $150 million or whatever. So she made more money than she would have expected to make off of this team. And then she comes back and it's just like, yeah, I think I had written this down, but I said, that's right, boys, we're doing part 1 again. Like, it was just like you said, everybody regressed. And the only person that didn't seem to regress was Tom Berenger's character, Jake. Like, there was potential for a really good story with him. Yeah. And then he just disappeared for like a third of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, so the reason why that first one is really good, even wrapped around him, and let's just really quickly, Tom Berenger in the first movie is a creep. He's
the worst.
He stalks his ex-girlfriend, Renee Russo, convinces her to get back with him because we'll see a theme throughout these movies where women love to cheat on their partners with baseball players.
And she was fully engaged. And he stalked her. He stalked her to her job, back to her home, crashed a party that they were having.
And it's one of those things where you don't need that love story in the first one. I understand why it's there because it's just that's how they made movies back in the day. But you can do that same story where he has like a dead wife. You know what I mean? And the focus is about him wanting one last hurrah to like win in the sport that he loves, right? So in the second one, I agree. There's good continuation with his character where he is like older still, or maybe he hurt his knee during the playoffs or something. And now we got to put him into a coaching position. But after he gets that coaching offer, it's not till like, we're kind of deep into the movie already. And then like you said, he disappears from the movie for a while until the head coach has a heart attack and now he has to take over kind of full time. But I think you can start this movie where at the beginning of the season, the coach has a heart attack and he's forced to step up into place, and now he's got to just like run the team from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they basically put the coach on the bench. The whole movie for him was his end scene, like in the hospital, reacting to the final game.
But you don't need that.
But you don't need that. After the scene, he has the scene where he goes to coach like the manager's house. We don't see him again until they trade their best player, Parker, and then after that is when we start seeing him, which is like he's like a half an hour of the movie, and this is one of the stars of the movie. And that was also the only scene that Renee Russo was in, was when they sat down at the table.
Yeah, well, it's like he's the leader of the first movie. The love story is like, you know, that feels forced in the first movie, but it's still predominantly there. And then the second one, they kind of start to set it up. He disappears for most of it, and even Renee Russo, like you said, she's in one scene
and barely says a word.
So this whole like, whether it's the like romantic element of his storyline, whether it's like how does he go into this next chapter of his life with his relationship with Renee Russo, and then whether it's like what's it like now being a coach for the first time, it's the pieces are there, but they're not executed properly.
Yeah, it just felt too unearned.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was so much opportunity, like you said, with the coaching thing, like show his struggles of coaching. The only time they showed him coaching was with the rookie.
Oh gosh.
And it was just like, for the most ridiculous reason, one, but two, it's just like he has a relationship with this whole team. Let him talk to all these other guys.
Yeah. God, when they do have him coaching with that new rookie whose name is Rube, or that's not his name, but they call him that.
Yeah.
God, I hate that character.
It's
just so wonk. It's so like wacky for sake of wackiness, you know?
Yeah.
My mom always said it's better to eat shit than not eat it all.
Yeah. It's also, he has that one speech, I think he's talking to Jake, or he's when he's addressing the team and saying like, we play baseball, guys, and he's just like, all I want to do is play a game. So it just feels like I'm lucky to be here. Like he actually is lucky to be here, and it's like, how did a guy like this get on a Major League Baseball roster?
Oh brother, this guy stinks.
Oh my God. Yeah, even if we could just also like dive into like Serrano, because we can't give a necessarily like a good quality to this like kid, because everybody's got like their role. Like Wild Thing throws the ball fast, Willie Mays steals bases, and Serrano like hits home runs. But even his character, they purposely like regress him and give him a new like, you know, religious shtick. And then we have to redo this again where he's got to get mad again to hit the ball. But then by the time we get to the final game of the series, he's regressed again just so what? So he can get angry again and hit the ball? Well, guess what? When he hits the game winning home run, he's not angry. So what is the arc of any of these characters? You know what I mean? Like, say what you want about like Willie Mays, like when he takes off those chains and's like, I'm gonna start playing baseball again. Regardless of how stupid that is, at least after that he was done. He didn't regress anymore. Serrano, they don't know what to do with this character.
Yeah, they just made Serrano and then the new player Tanaka, just like such caricatures. And it was just, everything was for the bit. There was no like storyline to it really. And it was like they had opportunity. If you're going to do this, at least do it kind of well, but it's like such a bad stereotype.
Here's what I don't want to do. What I don't want to do is talk about Tanaka.
Hey man, I'm not touching this. You do you.
I think that's the thing. It's like there's all these kind of half-assed ideas that because they don't set them up properly, they don't get to like finish them off properly. And then the last thing of this is when Charlie Sheen comes back into the game to get the final out once again. He purposely like loads the bases so he can face off against the villain of the movie. And we have already kind of set up that Vaughn has lost his fastball. So he's trying all these new pitches. And throughout the season, there's some success, mostly not a lot of success. And this is the time where he's like, screw that. I'm going to throw my fastballs. So the first pitch is a fastball. It gets by the bad guy. The second one, he fouls off. And you would expect in a movie that's going to finish its thing that he's going to gas it up, say, I'm about to throw another fastball. Very similar to what Jake did in the first one. And then he throws his pitch, the pitch that he wanted to like succeed at. But instead, I looked at you after he missed. I was like, what was it? And you're like, oh, it's just another fastball. And I was like, well, what are we doing? What's going on?
What are we doing? What's going on?
100% though, because they also already had that moment in the first one. He strikes out the bad guy on the Yankees in the first one on an 102 mile an hour pitch or whatever before Jake does the fake I'm going deep and then bunts. And so it's like, we didn't need a repeat of that. We already got that from him. So why not pull the string from this guy and have it be a great moment for him?
I gotta tell you, nothing made me more mad that before that, when Charlie Sheen's on the mound, forget the fact that he walks to the mound in his leather jacket with the sleeves cut off. When he's on the mound and he gives the jacket back, he turns around and I was like, he's gonna put on the freaking glasses. But his glasses are bananas this time around. They have like a skull on them. Like he got them from like
Spencer's or Hot Topic.
Hot Topic? Like, what are you doing?
100%. And in the first one, there is a skull on his glasses, but it's tiny. Like it's on the bridge of the glasses, but it's very small.
I thought that was just tape.
No, it's a little mini skull. So they just blew it up for this one, but it's so big in the second one that it's like, that's covering his eyes.
Yeah. So he like I want to see him take his contacts out in the dugout and then,
But yeah, the whole point of the first movie was that he couldn't see, so he always had to have his glasses on. But in this entire movie, up until that moment, he's not wearing glasses. So he either got LASIK or he has contacts, and he's just wearing fake glasses for the bit.
Yeah, and the fact that they cut to the gun at the last pitch and it's 102 miles per hour, that's another moment where it's just like, you're using this thing as a gimmick. Because it's cool in the first one that he just keeps getting faster and faster and faster, right? Once again, if you set up this thing and you pay off where he's going to throw a changeup or a curveball as his last pitch, you can literally repeat those beats where the first pitch to the guy, he misses, it says 99. And then the next pitch, he hits 101, but he fouled it off. And it's like, oh, is he going to break his record from the last one? And then he throws the changeup, we go to the gun and it says like 76. And it's like, great. Like just, it's like David S. Ward made the first movie. like you can do this like the right way,
This one is just, what are we watching here?
Yeah, and I mean, just even like getting to the Rotten Tomatoes scores of like the first and the second one. So Major League from 1989, it's got a critical score of an 83%, and it has an audience score of an 84%. Its budget was $11 million. It made $75 million at the box office. So it's like a success. It's reviewed really good. It becomes like kind of a cult classic probably instantly. With Major League 2 in 1994, it's got a critical score of a 5%. And an audience score of a 44%. And I think, listen, everyone knows that Rotten Tomatoes is stupid, right? But like 5% is kind of crazy.
That's pretty low.
I would give this movie probably like a 25%.
I think 25% is good, but also most of that percentage for me is based on the potential of what this could have been.
Yeah,
because it had the bones of it, but they did not, like you said, they did not execute it well at all. It was just too much. They needed to cut so much from this.
Yeah, and like I think as you look at kind of like sports movies in general and sports sequels, it's always going to be hard to come back and do something again, but it has been done. So I think the fact that they had potential, like you said, that's what makes it more frustrating as a sequel. It makes it drag more. And, whether or not it is worth going back again, I guess we'll have to I'll have to throw to Phelps once again.
Hello, team. I know you all hate me.
So as always on this podcast, we ask 3 questions that lead to a final vote of is it worth going back again? And the first question is, does it work as a sequel?
As much as I was disappointed in the movie, it does work as a sequel. We're moving on. We're 6 months later. This is the same team, but even though they kind of just went, we're going to get them back to where they were at the beginning of the first movie and move from there. It still works as a sequel. They're just naturally, they're progressing to the next season. It's still the same characters. And I don't think that as bad as it was, it shouldn't be considered a sequel.
That's the thing is I think it works as a sequel on paper if you shoot this movie 2 years after the movie comes out instead of like 5 years. And, even just to get into like, I don't like going like the behind the scenes kind of stuff as judging the movie for that, but like the fact that like even the stadium looks completely different in the second one, like they shoot it in Baltimore. It doesn't even feel like it's got the same kind of Cleveland vibe. Like the characters of Cleveland don't feel as Cleveland, probably because a Cleveland writer didn't write it this time. So like on paper, I think it does work as a sequel, but in execution, I feel like I'm going to have to be a little harsher and say the end result doesn't work as a sequel because I don't think anybody really learns anything. They're just forced to regress so they can end up back where they started. So that sounds like it's going to get a check and an X to start it off. So the next question is going to be, is it enjoyable / entertaining? I'll start off this one and I'll say that it's just enjoyable enough to where because I'm from Cleveland, I'll give it a check just so it has a check on this list. But just enough, like the little moments, like, Dorn going to the game and then having to get hit and then like not wanting to get off first base. Like that's funny. Like there's little tiny character moments that still work, but it's long, or at least it feels long, it drags. So I'll give it a check just because I'm obligated to, because that's where I'm from originally, but barely.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think there were a lot of good moments. Like there were a lot of good Dorn moments. I also think there were a lot of moments with Parkman, the villain, that were good. I thought he was an elite shit talker, and the moments with him and like Willie Mays Hayes when they're at bat and like all that stuff, I thought was so great. But it just felt weird that they introduced this character and then he just disappears for a while. Like they treated him like the villain in the first one instead of treating him like the villain that they inserted onto the team.
Yeah.
So that kind of took away from it for me. But I feel like it's a movie I would watch again, but it would only be for the nostalgia. I don't think...
You throw it on in the background. Kind of
yeah, it'd be a background thing. Or if you're like, want to hate watch something.
Well, even like to go with that, I think there are genuinely moments that are so like baffling that you're just like, you're entertained because of the fact that it's like, why did they do this? Right. So that maybe carries a little bit more for me with it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I also think the first one does a lot of heavy lifting and making you like these characters.
Yeah.
And so you're innately rooting for them.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll give it a check. I'll give it a check.
So that sounds like it's going to get 2 checks. So the last question is going to be, does it need to exist? And you can finish this one off.
Absolutely not. This does not need to exist.
100% also agree, does not need to exist.
It had the potential to need to exist, but they fumbled it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately this is one of those sequels that has a hard challenge because that first movie's just tight, like we said. And if you are going to bring it back, like there were pieces there, but I don't know. It's just, we only brought these people back because we wanted to see these characters again. And we didn't even really get all the characters, and the characters that we got, they purposely changed. So it doesn't give you that, the ending of that first movie, from like the final out that they get with Charlie Sheen to Tom Berenger getting like the bunt that sends Willie Mays home, like the pacing of that and like the stakes of that situation, it's a really good ending to a sports movie. The sequel tries to do their version of that again, and everything just feels kind of hollow. So even that alone, just even like if you stuck through like a bad movie just to get to that final sensation of like winning again, I don't think it accomplishes that. So it doesn't need to exist.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that math at home, that's going to get 3 checks and, oh gosh, 3 X's, which means, unfortunately, I It's so frustrating because I feel like it's not worth going back again, but based on the voting, it's going to go into sequel limbo with Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, which means I'm going to have to edit that footage again. And Major League 2, we can't come to a decision on it based on the voting, so it's up for the people to decide. That stinks. This movie's not good. As always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. If you like this episode, you can listen to more episodes of the Back Again Sequel Podcast. We are available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look for @BA Sequel Podcast, or you can watch these episodes with video on our YouTube page. Just subscribe to @BA Sequel Podcast. And outside of that, you got anything else to add, Louis?
He need a rocket up his ass to catch that one. I had to quote the great Bob Uecker.
All right, everyone, we will see you next time.
Back, 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 back.